Don Lemon got arrested. Don Lemon, how is he uploading? This is the Don Lemon channel? Okay, so he's not in it. Hot takes, Republicans are running scared. It's 18 hours ago. What happened?
But if we don't do those intervening steps, if we don't...
Yeah, no, it is. Burn down Master's house. I am outraged. There's one thing that struck me.
Maybe Hakeem Jeffries said something about it. Hakeem Jeffries. Is he going to say anything about the First Amendment? What's he saying? Out of control Trump eminent. How? I thought he was going to speak on Don Lemon.
Taxpayer dollars should be used to make life better for the American people. Drive down the high cost bill. The Department of Statistics failed.
Don Lemon is an accomplished journalist whose urgent work is protected by the First Amendment. There is zero basis to arrest him and should be freed immediately. The Trump Justice Department is illegitimate, and these extremists will all be held accountable for their crimes against the Constitution. Republicans give ICE a blank check. Cool. So he's not saying much except that. He was arrested after the church protest.
Developing here at this hour, journalist Don Lemon is now behind bars for participating in a protest that authorities say disrupted a church service in Minnesota. It was a few weeks back. Don was among a group of protesters that stormed into a church in St. Paul to confront the pastor.
Okay, so who charged him? Did the church charge him, or did the Trump administration charge him? Based on recent reports, Don Lemon was arrested by federal authorities, FBI, and Homeland Security on Thursday night, early Friday morning in connection with the protest at Minnesota. Okay, so what do they have to do with it? The charges were brought at the direction of Attorney General Pam Bondi, the most incompetent person I've ever seen. According to the Department of Homeland Security, Don Lemon, according to the Department of Homeland Security, Lemon is being charged with conspiracy to deprive rights and interfering by force with someone's First Amendment rights. The incident... My dog wants to go out. The incident, anti-ICE protesters who disrupted service at City's Church in St. Paul, where one of the pastors is reportedly the acting field director of St. Paul ICE field office. The incident involves anti-ICE officers of the service at City's Church in St. Paul, where one of the pastors is reportedly the acting field director. Lemon maintains he was there as a journalist covering the protest, not as a participant. Okay, he claims he was journaling. He claims he was a journalist and not having a conspiracy. Also, he's a biased press, right? If he is one, he's a biased journalist, so not really journalism. Also, I don't even think he's a journalist. Like, he goes up to people and have these leading questions. So, what crime did he commit? Yeah, what is the crime? He's been charged with federal offenses, but these charges are contested, and he maintains his innocence. These charges are conspiracy to deprive rights under color of law, interfering by force with someone's... How? Like, I've seen...
Pastor, who officials say is also the acting ICE field office director in Minnesota. While the acting director does share the same name as the pastor, it's not clear whether they are in fact the same man. The Justice Department says the demonstration may have violated federal law. Developing here at this hour, journalist Don Lemon is now behind bars.
I still don't get what he did. Feds agents arrest Don Lemon over anti-ICE church protest. So is that a crime? Yeah, what is the crime? I still don't get it. Explain to me. The crime. I'll explain the federal crimes Don Lemon is charged with. Yeah, I get that, but... So if you go up to people and you put a mic and a camera on, and you ask leading questions, is that a crime? It involves people working together, conspiring to violate someone's constitutional rights while acting under government authority or pretending to have such authority. However, in this case, the charge seems to be applied differently, alleging that protesters conspired together to interfere with the churchgoers' rights. The government's case appears to be that by participating or allegedly participating in the disruption of church service, Lemon and others prevented the congregation from exercising their constitutional rights to worship freely. The by force element likely refers to the physical disruption of the service, even if no violence occurred. Controversy: this is a highly unusual application. These laws were commonly used to prosecute police officers who violate people's civil rights, hate crimes, and voting rights violations. So the chances are he won't be charged, right? Or he's charged, but he won't be prosecuted, right? Like, he's going to be innocent. I can't predict the outcome. If he can demonstrate he was there solely as a journalist documenting the protest rather than participating in it, this could be a strong defense. Press credentials, footage he was filming, or testimony about his role can support this. Unusual prosecution. The legal experts and Press Freedom Organization have criticized these charges as unprecedented. If a judge or jury views the government overreach or misapplication of civil rights statutes, they might be skeptical of the prosecution. So this means the other protesters are also charged? That's a good question. Alright, Pam Bondi is responsible. Pam Bondi is the one charging him. At my direction. You really gotta explain yourself. There are other people arrested along Lemon. Tron Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, Jamil Liddell Lundy.
Make no mistake, under President Trump's leadership and this administration,
No, President Trump did not lead this.
you have the right to worship freely and safely.
Okay.
And if I haven't been clear already,
Okay, I thought she was going to say under president's leadership, these charges were. We have brought up these charges?
if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
She's such a fucking idiot. She's a wannabe strongman. Like, out of nowhere, what is this? Right? And I thought she was going to be one of the people that was going to be... that was going to leave Trump's cabinet. Let me find it. Where was it? Pam Bondi leaves the cabinet. I thought she was going to leave the cabinet, but she's so incompetent. Like, what is she doing? Fight real crime. What is she supposed to do? What's her job? Pam Bondi. She's the American attorney. What kind of crimes is she supposed to... She's the attorney general. What do attorney generals usually do? Maintain responsibilities. Chief law enforcement officer. They oversee the law enforcement policy and prosecute decisions. Legal representation. They represent government in legal matters. Defending the government when it's sued and bringing lawsuits on behalf of the government or public interest. How is this a public interest? I feel like this shouldn't be her job. It should be the church's job to sue him. They provide legal opinions and advice to the executive branch, and advising the president or governor at state level. And yeah, I don't know what she's doing. Like, is this a 5D chess? What's the plan here? I can't know Attorney General's actual intentions. Possible explanation: deterring protest activity, protecting ICE operations, testing legal boundaries, chilling press coverage, political messaging, genuine belief in law breaking. The reality is a combination of factors, and different people involved may have different motivations. What we can observe is that this prosecution is controversial, unprecedented in many ways, and has generated a significant debate about where the lines are between legitimate protest, journalism, and criminal activity. The actual plan or strategy will become clearer as the case proceeds, and as we see whether similar prosecutions follow. I think she's testing boundaries. This is a reach, right? Pam Bondi collapses after judge reveals devastating courtroom details. She loses it? Where's the part where she loses it? She refuses to charge Anthony Fauci? Don Lemon arrested for involvement in the St. Paul church riots. Okay, it was a riot. Okay. Let's see. I want to see the riots. This is Fox 9, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Our top story tonight, DHS around
of
Just show me the clips.
with ICE.
It was brought to our attention that a pastor at this church was a regional field director for ICE. And because all four of us are Christian, that was quite disturbing.
Wait. She's saying something. At my direction. At my direction, this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon and all these people in connection with the coordinated attack. More details soon. I'm waiting. Minnesota Federal District Court found there was no evidence that there was any criminal behavior involved in the work. What is she crying about? I'm very happy that Don Lemon was arrested, but there's one extremely important caveat. Now that it's been this is by Matt Walsh. This guy's one of the right-wingers. He has to be convicted and sent to prison for a extended length of time. If he is not convicted or not seriously punished, then this whole thing is an unequivocal one for him. It makes him a martyr and 10 times more famous with no significant consequence. Lemon was totally irrelevant prior to this. Nobody watched his show or even knew that he was still alive. Now, he's relevant again. He'll almost certainly get another job on cable news on the heels of this. The only way to make this a win for the good guys, is to punish him severely. Make their word of fame or martyrdom not worth the cost. If you won't do that, then you should never have arrested him. Pam Bondi's incompetent. What is she doing? Yeah, clearly this is a reach, right? Don Lemon could make his first court appearance as early as today. Could this change democracy forever? Are you fucking kidding me? Jasmine Crockett. Don Lemon has been arrested by the DOJ. Exercising your First Amendment constitutionally protected right gets you locked up. Great news. The case against Don Lemon is airtight. He filmed himself committing felonies. I pray that he is sent to prison and his life is permanently ruined, as he deserves. Statement from Abbott. He has been arrested by Fed in connection with Minnesota church protest that he took this month. Okay. Like, explain this to me. Okay, my dog's back. Like, explain this to me without using these terms. Explain this like I'm 5. Imagine you're at school and some kids are having a quiet reading time in the library. Okay, she wants to go out again. Alright, why is it confusing? The charge. What happened? Other kids came into the library, started yelling, making noise because they were upset about something the librarian did. Don Lemon says he was just there with a camera to watch the report happened, like a news reporter. But the government says he wasn't just watching, he was part of the group making noise. The charge. So everyone should be charged, right? So Claude doesn't know either, really. Lemon says he was just serving news, like a reporter on TV. Government says, no, you weren't. You were part of the noisy group. So they're saying he was protesting.
Urban, like to our spirit.
The lead pastor of City's Church releasing this statement Tuesday that reads in part, quote, on Sunday, January 18th, a group of agitators jarringly disrupted our worship gathering. They accosted members of our congregation, frightened children, and created a scene marked by intimidation and threat. Such conduct is shameful, unlawful, and will not be tolerated. The U.S. Department of Justice is investigating whether the protesters violated the federal FACE Act that protects religious freedom in places of worship. When asked about it, organizers dismissed the potential probe.
Instead of these issues being addressed, what do we get from the federal government? Threats of investigating those of us who were involved in a peaceful demonstration at City's Church.
We came in peace. And there's not a person in there was blocked from exiting. If they needed to leave, they could leave.
A spokesperson
Show
for
me.
St. Paul Police says officers responded Sunday morning.
I mean, you're kind of threatening them, right? They're there to do something, and you're stopping them from doing it. So, I don't know. Clearly, it's not it. Can we see the footages? Let me see the footage.
And this administration, you have the right to worship freely and safely.
And she's playing. She's such an actor. She wants to be a strongman for Trump, but I don't know. She's incompetent. Yeah, I mean.
This is really scary. There's kids in the house. You guys have not been really friendly in the community. And to me, this seems a little, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Can I finish?
Get your phone.
This seems a little bit aggressive to have all these.
Arresting Don Lemon is, this is Patrick McDavid saying it. Arresting Don Lemon is the right move. Never in history journalism has a well-known journalist joined protesters to enter a church during worship and confront the pastor. If nothing happened there, it sets a dangerous precedent. It invites copycats, YouTubers, activists, citizen journalists to storm churches, mosques, and other places of worship, chasing clicks and virality. It's playing with fire. I disagree with Don Lemon on many issues. There is a need for his views, whether you agree with or not. By entering a place of worship crosses a line.
Lemon? Cocksucker, stop.
He is a cocksucker. He's gay.
A little bit ago, and did some reconnaissance on the ground. I'm speaking to an organization there that's gearing up for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together.
Pleasantly surprised
community. If you see
to
this
see
when
the
we
riots.
first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we're like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? Saw the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up, and it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where to.
Don Lemon didn't storm a church to be a good journalist. He did it to attack white Christians. Yeah, okay, so he was a part of it, clearly. He didn't storm the church to be a good journalist. He did it to attack white Christians. Fed agents arrest Don Lemon over Minnesota. This is Gavin Newsom. Putin would be proud. Former CNN anchor has said he was not demonstrating, but reporting as a journalist, driving the interruption of a service inside St. Paul Church earlier this month. I mean, clearly he was doing it out of malice, right? Arresting Don Lemon is a phenomenally stupid thing for the Trump admin. They're gonna regret it. He'll only become a bigger voice in the anti-Trump resistance. This case is gonna get thrown out, and his DOJ is gonna get embarrassed again. Pop base. Don Lemon has been arrested with connection. I mean, yeah, he's part of the protest, obviously. Or is he? I see we're now at the arresting journalist phase of our new autocracy. Attorney for my colleague and friend Don Lemon has released a statement saying Don was arrested by Fed early last night. This is outrageous and cannot stand. The First Amendment is under attack in America. Well, he's also being charged for disrupting First Amendment. Don Lemon is reportedly now being charged with FACE Act violation, as well as conspiracy to deprive rights for his actions invading harassing Christian families and their children attending church. James Blair, a Fed grand jury indicted Don Lemon. He was not magically arrested. A Fed grand jury indicted Don Lemon. He was not magically arrested. Pass it on. Cory Booker, arresting a journalist is a blatant attempt. He's not a journalist, first of all. He's like a YouTuber, like Vitaly, right? Okay, tell me the situation. I missed the whole thing. So tell me what happened at the church. Here's what happened. The setting. City's Church and Church in St. Paul, Minnesota, is one of their pastors. David Easterwood is also acting field director of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the area. Okay, so the pastor is part of ICE, right? And the community went to this church because the pastor was part of ICE and they protested. Around 10:40 a.m. on Sunday, approximately 30 to 40 protesters entered the church during the worship service. They chanted ICE out and justice for Renee Good inside the sanctuary and interrupted the service, forcing it to end early. Some protesters physically blocked parishioners from leaving and prevented parents from reaching their children in the child care area downstairs. The pastor wasn't actually at church that day. The lead pastor, Jonathan Parnell, was there and criticized the protesters as shameful for interrupting worship services. Don Lemon was there filming live streaming. He was part of the thing, right? He interviewed both protesters and churchgoers, including Pastor Parnell, at the pulpit. By the time police arrived, the protesters moved outside the church and began walking down the alley. The government says this disruption violated people's constitutional right to worship freely. Protesters say they were exercising their right to protest against ICE's actions. Okay, then do it outside the church. Did they go inside the church? Yes, okay, so they went inside the church. 30 to 40 people. They were protesting against ICE official who is a pastor. Church is you. People came to worship peacefully and had their religious service disrupted and were prevented from leaving or accessing their children. Legal questions. Does going inside church during a service and drifting across the line from protected protest into criminal interference with others' constitutional rights? That's why the government is charging them with interfering with the First Amendment rights, because attending a religious service is protected by the First Amendment guarantee. So it's a political hit. Okay, so Pam Bondi is saying, don't bother ICE, right? Don't protest in the name of ICE.
An active
I don't know, how's the legal battle playing out so far? Don Lemon criminally charged. We can report it as we can report it is at least one felony charge per source familiar with this matter. A felony? Is a felony? So it's mostly about ICE. Felony charges. Whether force was used, whether anyone was injured, whether threats were made, whether it's first offense. Conspiracy to derive rights. This law makes it illegal for 2 or more people to agree to injure, threaten, or intimidate a person. Okay, so they did the KKK Act. Violation of the FACE Act. Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrance Act. This law originally passed to protect abortion clinics, but also covers houses of worship. Okay, so there's an argument here. Given reports in the K, people allegedly blocked. Alright, show me. Church riot footage. Show me the clip.
Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly. All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with immigrants. You do not touch
Jesus Christ, he's obnoxious.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame.
He doesn't look white.
Out now.
Okay, so the threat was used. They did use threats. Couldn't the church, couldn't the pastor call police and trespass them? That's an excellent question. And yes, absolutely. That would be the normal way to handle the situation. What usually happens? Yeah, but the police are in on it, right? So they can't exactly do that. What makes this different in this case? Pastor could have done exactly what they're suggesting. In fact, by the time police arrived, protesters already moved outside and were walking down the alley, suggesting they may have left on their own when the police were called. But instead of handling it as local trespasser, Fed government stepped in and charged them with violating federal civil rights laws, much more serious charges. This is unusual. It's part of why this case is so controversial. Critics asking why are federal prosecutors involved. Okay, so if they left, then they basically got a warning, right? So they left before police could officially trespass them. Not exactly. By the time police arrived, protesters had moved outside the church and began walking down the alley. This could mean, 1, they left on their own, before police arrived, they left when the police arrived, but the police formally ordered them to leave or arrest anyone. Police arrived, while they started on it. That's when they moved outside. The key results don't give us exactly play-by-play of who left or what police said. The key point: trespassing, even if you leave before being formally out ordered, disrupting religious service, but there are other crimes that occur while you're inside. So, tell me the timeline. Tell me the official timeline then. Step by step. January 18th. Rainey Good, a 37-year-old mother of 3, she lost 2, was fatally shot by an ICE officer in Minneapolis. Church incident. Morning at 10:40 a.m., approximately 30-48 protesters affiliated with the Racial Justice Network and Black Lives Matter in Minnesota entered the church. During the disruption, protesters chanted "Ice out" and "Justice for any good," and then we saw the footage. They were pestering them and agitating them and disrupting service. That's illegal. Don Lemon filmed and live streamed the incident. Lemon recorded himself interrogating lead pastor Jonathan Perro at his pulpit. According to the reports, families were blocked from leaving and parents couldn't access children in child care areas. By the time police arrived, protesters had moved outside the church and began walking down the alley. Homeland Security Kristi Noem announced arrests would be coming in the next several hours. 3 people arrested: Lakina Levy Armstrong, William Kelly, Don Lemon, and 3 others arrested while Lemon was covering the Grammys in Los Angeles. The exact minute by minute, okay, but I need the details. Alright, this is another footage. But it's 2020, it's not that one. Show me some footage here.
When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the street, you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that.
Okay, so what part of it was illegal so far? So is threatening, isn't a church a public place anyone can enter? Good question. Churches are not public places, legally speaking. Churches are actually private property. Yeah, but it's like a mall, right? Like they let anybody in. The open to public versus public property distinction. Public property is government owned. But they allow anyone to come in, right? Yes, as far as we know, it's an open service. There's no indication churches had closed its door to the public. There were security guards checking people at the entrance. Right, where it gets legally complicated. So, entering the church itself isn't illegal. So the real legal debate isn't did they have permission to be there, but rather did their actions inside violate other people's constitutional rights to worship freely? And it did, right? They threatened people. They put camera on their faces and said, "Why aren't you supporting ICE?" They did threaten it. Based on reports, they definitely yelled and chanted, but whether they threatened people... Okay, so now we have to define what is threat. The nature of blocking was passive standing. Language really matters. Yelling, chanting is disruption. Intimidation and threats, saying or doing things that make people fear for their safety. Force. Blocking, pushing, and preventing movement. Alright, let's...
People get upset and angry. Rights moves as a bad institution. That's the whole point. Say everyone has to be willing to sacrifice something. You have.
Is disruption illegal? They definitely did disrupt. I don't know about force or intimidation. Chanting at rallies or parks, demonstrating outside buildings, disrupting your own event or space when it can be illegal on private property. If you're asked to leave and refuse, you're trespassing. If you disrupt the business, disrupting peace, usually a misdemeanor, so it's not a felony then. Special protected spaces. Churches and other houses of worship have extra legal protection. Freedom of access to Clinic Interest Act. This law makes it illegal to intentionally obstruct someone from obtaining or providing religious services. Okay, so that's a FACE Act. So what is illegal? Legal gray area. Trespassing is minor. Disrupting peace is minor. Local ordinance violations is minor. What makes this case unprecedented is charging is it a federal conspiracy to violate civil rights, which is much more serious. So to answer your question, disrupting can be illegal, but is it a felony? So if we bring in Renee Goods, it could be argued as a felony. I'm not sure. So what makes it a felony? So the FACE Act makes it a felony? Here's how it works. Misdemeanor, less serious. First-time FACE Act offenders who cause no injury generally face federal misdemeanor charges and up to 1 year in federal prison. Felony, repeated offenders or offenders who make threats, use force, or cause injury generally face felony charges and years in prison. Key factors are use of force, threats made, injuries caused, repeated offenses. I mean, Don Lemon, he is a repeated offense, right? He does this on a daily basis. So they're going to be saying Don Lemon did this multiple times. So if Don Lemon did this multiple times to churches, it could be a felony, even though no force was used. Yeah. Force, threats, and injury, repeated offenses, no force needed. You've been convicted of violation 4. You've been convicted of FACE Act violations before. Even if no force, threats, or injuries in the later incidents, being repeated offender can but he wasn't charged with it before. He wasn't convicted of FACE before. You're right, as far as you know from public information, Don Lemon has not been convicted of FACE Act violations before. So in this case, repeated offender path to felony charge doesn't apply. That means, for this to be a felony charge against Don Lemon, the government would need to prove one of these aggravating factors. Force was used, threats were made, someone was injured. Show me more footages. I'm going to ask Google this. In the Minnesota church, not shooting, church riot, was entrance blocked? That's the important note. Was it blocked? Protesters did not block the entrance to prevent people from entering. Instead, they stormed inside to disrupt the ongoing service. However, court filings and witness reports indicate that exit was physically obstructed during the confrontation. Key details regarding the obstruction include forced egress. Disruption was so severe that congregants were forced to flee through a side door rather than main exits. Physical obstruction. A court reported by Department of Justice officials alleged that protesters physically obstruct. Show me. Like, did they do this and make sure no one would exit? Like, did they physically block it off, or was it blocked off because there were too many people there and people had to use the side exits? Minnesota church protest. Show me. Protest crash Minnesota church service again. A group of mostly white liberal women showed up mid-worship to sing protest songs and go off on ice. They call for liberation and turn the church into a political stage fight right in front of everyone. It looks like that, or like intentional disruption. Once again, hijacking a religious gathering. This isn't a big strategy. Nakima Levy Armstrong is a civil rights lawyer arrested after Minnesota protest disrupting church service tied to ICE elections. Then Donald Trump's White House posted an altered photo to make her look like she was crying and darkened her skin to push racism. Why? Because they wanted to shame her, distort the truth, and turn public against black protests outrageous. You know, the left and right are doing the same thing. It's like before you put a thumbnail and a thumbnail for a YouTube video, they alter it, they Photoshop it. They're both doing it. They claim church works with ICE. Let's see. Is it blocked? They're now demanding he resign. Mostly white women. Well, what is this then? Together, translated partly, together we will liberate ourselves. I don't know, but Don Lemon? Like, maybe the protesters, but Don Lemon? Texan invites Minnesota protesters to protest to his protest church. He guarantees protesters will be praying before they leave.
Interrupting worship. That's what these chaos makers are doing. All of this type of behavior is plaguing the Democrat-led city of Minneapolis at this point. A group of angry protesters, heck, let's call them agitators, and when some yell anything other than the protesting, we can call them criminals. They're screaming and chanting profanities in the name of God. Actually, they said, to get rid of ICE in the name of Jesus. Renee Good, also something that they were shouting about. She was the woman who was fatally shot by ICE earlier this protesting.
Okay, so what are they doing now? Okay, Don Lemon aside, what about the protesters? So tell me what he's being charged. Tell me what the protesters are being charged with. The charges apply to all arrested. Conspiracy to deprive others of their civil rights. Violation of FACE Act. I don't know if the entrance was covered though. Important legal development. Magistrate judge initially rejected arrest warrants for 5 people, including Lemon, saying there was no probable cause. However, despite the denials, a federal grand jury returned the indictment against Lemon. So the DOJ went around magistrate judge's rejection by taking these the case to grand jury, which did approve the indictments. All 7 people faced the same 2 charges: conspiracy to deprive civil rights. Okay, tell me about this. And FACE Act violations. So if you disrupt service, illegal for 2 or more people to agree to injure, threaten, or intimidate a person exercising constitutional rights. The key word is conspiracy, meaning 2 or more people working together, planning together to violate someone's rights. The law originally passed during Reconstruction, specifically to prosecute KKK members, while other white supremacists who were preventing black people from voting, lynching, violating newly freed slaves' constitutional rights, using violence and intimidation to suppress civil rights. It's one of the oldest federal civil rights laws, and was designed to let the Fed step in when local state authorities wouldn't protect people's rights. Historically uses, voting rights violations, racially motivated violence and hate crimes, police brutality cases, interfering with federally protected activities like going to school. 10 years. Okay, so this one seems more plausible. The protesters conspired together to prevent churchgoers from exercising to practice religion. Yeah, definitely. Now this seems likely, right? But FACE Act, I'm not sure about. That seems like a stretch. This could change American democracy forever? Really? Okay, so this one could definitely apply. Would definitely apply. Well, that's exactly what the legal fight is about. I think it applies. The government argument. The defense's argument, no, it doesn't apply. This law was meant for serious civil rights violations. Church is a civil right, right? KKK, violence, voting suppression, not protest disruptions. Disruption was brief. No one was seriously harmed. Protesters were exercising their First Amendment rights. This could have been handled as simple trespassing. Applying this law here is government overreach. Thus, disrupting a church service equals depriving civil rights. Church gets disrupted sometimes. Hecklers, protesters, usually handled locally as trespassing or disrupting the peace. Using Reconstruction era law designed for KKK terrorism seems extreme to many legal experts. Conspiracy element. Did they plan to violate rights? Or did they plan to protest and it got out of hand? I mean, I don't know. Seems like a stretch. Minnesota court victory. Liberal judge in Minnesota. 8th Court Circuit is granted administrative stay, halting these restrictions, which were designed to undermine federal law enforcement. This DOJ will protect federal law, criminals in the streets, and activist judges in the courtroom. It's time to get rid of activist judges. Hey Pam, we showed you the evidence, now go arrest somebody. Okay, so it is gray area. And my dog's playing outside. Thus disrupting church service, depriving civil rights. Is church a civil right? I think it's a civil right. Yes. It's considered a fundamental civil right in the US. Okay, so it's a violation of that. Going to church is definitely a civil right. Absolutely right. Why it's not that simple? Someone talks loudly in a church service from worship. They're interfering with your religious practice. If a store won't let you off work to attend church, yes, that interferes with your religious freedom, but is handled through employment law or civil lawsuits, not federal criminal conspiracy charges. Legal question. Question is, thus disrupting a church service constitute depriving people of that right in the criminal sense? Should this specific law designed for KKK violence and serious civil rights violation apply to protest disruptions? Where is the line between protest and criminal deprivation of other people's rights? Government says yes, preventing people from worshiping crosses the line into criminal deprivation. Critics say there's a difference between brief disruption and systematic deprivation of rights. This law is an overkill. Deport. Someone should tell Pam Bondi that Nixon to go to prison. His attorney general did. Really? Damn. Nicki Minaj just getting roasted by Democrats. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a misdemeanor at least. But protesters definitely did something illegal by storming a church and yelling at people, right? Yes, absolutely. They did something illegal. The question is what level of legal and which laws apply. What they likely violated: trespassing, disturbing of peace, disorderly conduct. These types of misdemeanors handled by local police and court matters. They could be fines, maybe a few days in jail, community service, probation, possibly under debate, FACE Act violation, conspiracy to deprive. This is a stretch. Interfering with religious services. These are federal crimes and can be felonies with a few years in prison. The big question isn't did they break a law, it is which law did they break and how seriously should be punished. Okay, so charge them. Definitely charge them with something. If you speed, you broke the law, you get a ticket. If you're doing 200 miles through a school zone, you also broke the law, but you might go to jail. Both are illegal, but severity matters. Why people are concerned, critics aren't saying the protesters did nothing wrong, they're saying this could have been handled as local trespassing. Instead, it's being prosecuted as federal conspiracy. That's an unprecedented escalation. Okay, so we have to open up the Pandora's box. So, if this was coordinated through a Signal chat, that would be a conspiracy, right? And if they have other plans and the same people going around to protest and disrupt, that would be serious, right? Yes, absolutely. That'll make this much more serious legally. Patterns of conduct. If prosecutors show the same group of people, churches A, B, and C has similar patterns chats each time, use the same text repeatedly, targeted multiple religious services, this shows systematic campaign rather than one-off incident. Intent to interfere with religious freedom broadly, repeated offenders, FACE Act is harsher for repeated violations. Legal implications, stronger conspiracy case, multiple coordination actions is a clear pattern of conspiracy. Harder to claim it just happens spontaneously. Felony enchantment. Repeated offenders face federal felony charges, years in prison under FACE Act, no longer sentences. Judges consider criminal history and patterns. Multiple incidents is harsher punishment. Shows they didn't learn or didn't care. Legal potential is organized enough, could even trigger racketeering charges. That would be extreme. Why prosecutors would love this. Evidence of multiple planned disruption would make conspiracy slam dunk obvious. Show this wasn't about one's demonstrated a deliberate campaign to interfere with religious freedom, justified as serious federal charges. Okay, so maybe we can open up the Pandora's box with this. Maybe they can release the Signals chat that was leaked. Can FBI or other Attorney General, intelligence services show leaked group chat or hack into one? And legal evidence. Legal ways. FBI gets a judge to approve a warrant, compels Signal tech companies to turn over data. Signal uses end-to-end encryption, so even if Signal can't read messages, they can get metadata, but not content. Physical device access, search warrants to see someone's phone. If they unlock it, crack it, they can read Signal messages directly. It's the most common way. Okay, so they definitely can. Illegal ways. Hacking without warrant, leaked by third-party hacking. If a hacker stole the messages given to the FBI, generally not admissible. Is there a warrant out for the Signal messages? Search warrants and grand jury proceedings are often sealed, kept secret until later in legal process. So, when is the court date for this? I'm kind of excited to see how we might find out. Court filings, motions. Okay, so when is the court date? We'll see. On Friday, that's today. What we don't know yet. Charges are formally read, bail release conditions are set, defense enters plea, future dates are scheduled, arraignment, discovery phase, pre-trial motions, plea negotiations, trial. When do I get to see this? I want to see the trial. Let's see how it goes. What you can see now, initial court appearance this week. Can we see the trial? He's outside the courthouse. Oh boy. He appears in LA court. But he doesn't have a lawyer though. He's just being notified that this is there's a trial for him and he should be prepared. So today is what? When Don Lemon finds out about an upcoming trial. Not exactly. Today's procedural. Today, formal charges read, rights explained, bail release conditions, enter plea, schedule next court date, usually an arraignment or status conference. Well, he won't find out today, the actual trial date. Okay, so we don't know the official trial date. Probably late 2026 or early 2027. That's almost a year from now. Months 1 to 3 is discovery. Months 3 to 6 is pre-trial motions, plea negotiations, and about September to November is trial preparation. Okay, if this is politically smart. I don't know if it's right, but it's definitely a political win for Pam Bondi. Be brutally honest. Are you outraged at the former CNN host, now independent? He's not a journalist. He's a YouTuber, right? I think you need a certain certificate or license to be a journalist. Or you can be an independent journalist, right? No, you do not need a license. Actually, pretty important. First Amendment. No license required. Yeah, anyone can be a journalist. Okay, define journalist. Person who writes newspapers, magazines, or news websites, or prepares news to be broadcast. But he's not news. He's propaganda. He's arguing for one specific side. Like, he's not going there unbiased. He's obviously biased. And also, same thing with Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley is probably not a journalist. He's a YouTuber. He has a bias. He was filming, live streaming, and interviewing people. George Ford is an independent journalist and vice president of Minneapolis chapter. Government is arguing they were participants, not journalists. Here's the problem. There's no clear legal line between active. Okay, I don't care. My dog's barking outside. If you're chanting while filming, it's gray area. If you're just filming, journalism. If you're organizing the protest, probably in journalism. If you're chanting while filming, you're part of the protest. It's the same thing as someone that's chanting and screaming at people, but they have a phone out, right? Just because you have a camera, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's different from a YouTuber. Solution to immigration. Okay, cool. Do you support the former arrest? I don't know. It does seem like a stretch. But politically, it's smart for Pam Bondi to do this. But let's see the evidence. Like, I want to see the signal messages. I want... Like, if Pam Bondi is smart, what she would do is have a search warrant out for the signal chat. And then she would prove that this is coordinated, is a conspiracy, and that there were multiple other incidents that was going to occur. And then they were planning other things, right? That would be a conspiracy. Well, can she prove it? I'm not sure. Breaking. Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles following a protest connected to a disruptive church service in Minnesota. This is an assault on independent journalism. Think about it. They're right. Has tightened the grip on large chunks of multimedia, but can't. But that signal chat is definitely illegal. If there is a signal chat and same members going around to rally, that would be illegal. Having signal chat and organized rallies is not illegal. Okay, what would be illegal? If the signal chat shows disrupted religious services, not just protest, block people from leaving, prevent people from exercising rights, trespass and refuse to leave, use of force, intimidation. Key difference: legal signal chat. Let's protest outside city's church on Sunday and raise awareness about Randy's death. Illegal signal chat. Let's go inside church cities during service. Disrupt it and block access to a key they can't worship. Why evidence of multiple churches matters: if the prosecutors can show they plan to disrupt, did this at multiple churches, use the same tactics each time, coordinated through signal. Okay, so did this happen multiple times this year? Based on my search, it appears to be a single incident. What I found, only one church disruption. However, there is a pattern of broader ICE protests. Okay, so if there is a signal chat specifically targeting ICE, that would be illegal. No, targeting ICE in general is not illegal. Just saying, let's protest ICE operation. We need to raise awareness about ICE violence. Let's organize, demonstrate ICE facilities. Track where ICE agents are and protest there. All of this 100% legal. Signal chat saying, let's disrupt church service where ICE agents worship. Block people from leaving the church. Prevent them from practicing religion. Let's go inside and shut down their service. This crosses into conspiracy to violate others' rights. Targeting ICE itself is legal. Demonstrating at ICE buildings. Yeah, so it seems like a gray zone. General anti-ICE organization, complete legal, not evidence of crime. Specific planning to disrupt church service is evidence of conspiracy. The fact that they're targeting ICE as a cause isn't illegal. It's how they allegedly did it. That's the problem. So no, having a strict signal chat targeting ICE through protest and political organization is perfectly legal and constitutionally protected. It's only illegal if they plan to violate other people's rights in the process. Does that clarify it? Yes. So he's facing a conspiracy, which means there should be a search warrant out for him. They're going to search his phone and the signal chat. So this means he should be in the signal chat, right? Because they're charging him with conspiracy. And he's facing the FACE Act. I protect the deep state. She is the deep state. She works for the government. Like, no shit. I protect the deep state. She protects the state. Like, she's not gonna rally against ICE or anything. Cool. Now, when we're seeing arrests for the clowns who violated FACE Act, including Don Lemon. Well, I mean, he's being charged right now. And this is a week ago. No arrest or charges for the agitators that stormed the church. Okay, so it wasn't her idea. The Twitter people were saying you should charge them with FACE Act. You're getting impeached or disbarred. Don't forget to watch Jack's testimony tomorrow in the criminal protecting. Wait, what is this? In fall of 2013, Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi announced a fraud investigation into Trump University. A few days later, the Trump Foundation gave $25,000 to a Bondi re-election group. Bondi then announced she would not investigate Trump University. It's illegal for tax-exempt charities to engage in political activity, and Trump paid a $2,500 fine. Bondi advisors said Bondi had solicited the contribution, and if done as a quid pro quo, that would be illegal. Trump and her daughter Ivanka personally donated $500 to Bondi's campaign. 2014, Trump and Ivanka donated $125,000 to Florida GOP. Trump rented out Mar-a-Lago to Bondi at nearly $135,000 discount for a fundraiser where she was a special guest. She spoke at a Republican National Convention in support of Trump. I don't know. Like, what did she see? What did Pam Bondi see at the signal chat? Whenever Pam Bondi speaks. Let's see. Do we see anything else? Oh no, nothing seems to be happening. There's a Mario guy. Any updates? Epstein Files. A video of naked young woman released in docs. There are claims that today's DOJ Epstein badge includes video showing a young woman, some undressed or in compromising situation. Many potential victims and the new weren't fully protected despite promise. Cool. Massive anti-ICE march is growing fast. Thousands now flooding down streets, with more joining every minute. Fresh footage shows the crowd stretching far, signs up, all abundant against cold. Drone videos show thousands packed in the streets around the Whipple Federal Building in Minnesota. A huge crowd is chanting and marching in the cold for today's nationwide anti-ICE push. Where do they hear these things? Like, how do they know where to go? The UN is on the brink of imminent financial collapse due to Trump cutting off funding, according to Secretary General Guterres. Not sure how I feel about this. Breaking. U.S. reportedly warned allies Trump might hit Iran as soon as this weekend. Senior U.S. military official allegedly warned a major Arab ally in the Middle East to get ready. They said Trump could greenlight strikes in Iran's nuclear sites, military targets, and IRGC leaders as soon as Sunday. The goal, ending Iranian regime. No independent confirmation. U.S. CENTCOM declined to comment. UK politicians suspending got money from Epstein. Cool. DOJ probed Ghislaine Maxwell for selling girl as torture slave. Epstein panicked over girl trying to blackmail. Oh, this has to be a different stream. I'm getting sidetracked. This is crazy. Trump's Fed just showed up in Epstein files. Trump just picked Kevin Warsh to run the Fed. It's already popped up in 2010 email about Epstein-linked trip to St. Bart's. DOJ put Epstein files on Trump, then put him back. Epstein files FBI cites tip that Trump is compromised by Israel. Oh, yeah, clearly, yeah. Clinton Associated Staffer asked Epstein for a number in 2017 email. Ro Khanna on Epstein files released the names. Trump picked Kevin Walsh on the Fed. DOJ released over pic showing inside Epstein's cell. Officially ruled a suicide. Raw look at the scene. How did he come in? I still don't know the details.
The Lord with my son, and now I gotta go home. I'm sorry that you guys are so angry.
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group.
Oh, what do I have to say?
Can you understand why they're angry?
I don't understand any of this because I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man who loves the Lord and is a good father. This is what we look forward to: is coming, being with our family, and praising Jesus. And that's not something that we have to run away from. So this is kind of a bad day for us. But, we're going to heaven, so that's the best news we got.
Do you understand that some of these folks feel voiceless?
I don't understand, because right now I'm so upset right now. I don't really have I'm thirsty, and I can't think very clearly. So what I want to do is just say, we love you. My son and I love you guys. And that's
I'm a journalist. They're activists.
The simplest thing we can say is that we love you guys.
What do you mean, you guys?
Well, whoever's here in this house.
Okay.
We don't distinguish between Christian and non-Christian. We love everyone, and we want everyone to come to heaven.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. We want folks to go to heaven, and if we need to talk about these things, then this isn't the time for that, really.
But don't you think until we go to heaven, if you believe in that there should be some sort of peace here on earth, and that people should have agency, and we shouldn't be beating people up off the street, and we should be abiding by the Constitution?
I think that's just a little bit loaded for me right now, what you're doing.
Why so?
Well, I don't want to interview right now. I don't want to interview. I just want to tell you guys I love you. I don't need to interview right now because I want to be with my son. It's Sunday. It's time for rest and for renewal. I would like to answer your question, but I just can't right now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
See, he's biased. Hamas commander camp captured by anti-Hamas militia. Convicted anarchist behind the ICE Alert app. Sherman Austin is a Long Beach activist who built the site to help spread word about ICE activity. In 2002, he took a plea deal and served a year in federal prison after being charged over content on his old website tied to explosive. Now he runs a network that lets users share ICE sightings in real time and has raised tens of thousands of dollars to keep it going. U.S. member of Congress calling her country's Homeland Security advisor a Nazi. Catherine O'Hara dead. Who are you? Ellie Mistel just compared the arrest of Don Lemon to slavery. Logic has become optional. Elon talks suicidal empathy. Reporter realizing she works for ABC News while Trump is the president.
Loud person, very loud. Let somebody else have a chance.
Can you answer the question? Why are you suing IRS?
ABC fake news.
You're suing.
Go ahead. I didn't call on you. Go ahead, please.
Why are you suing your own administration and the IRS? Why are you suing?
Who are you with?
I'm with ABC News.
You're a loud person. Very loud. Let somebody else have a chance.
Can you answer the question? Why are you suing IRS?
ABC fake news.
Let's make it about free speech. Ignore the rest. Make it about free speech? They're trying hard to turn it into free speech thing, but actually being accused of messing with people's rights during a church service. He was caught on video with the group that disrupted it, saying we are doing this. You can't call it free speech and pretend none of that happened.
A little bit ago, and did some reconnaissance on the ground. I'm speaking to an organization there that's gearing up for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together. Diverse community. If you see this, when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we were like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? Saw the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up, and it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account.
So they've been doing this. So there's a person organizing the rallies. He just said it.
Follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up.
Operation Pull Up. They said the church invasion, church protest. So what is that? If it's an operation, is that illegal? Okay, this is huge. They called it Operation Pull Up. This significantly strengthens the prosecution's case. Operation Pull Up, what it means. Armstrong, a civil rights attorney and activist, told investigators the church riot was part of a clandestine operation known as Operation Pull Up, which involved activists who show up somewhere that is key location and disrupt business as usual. Evidence of pre-planning, Instagram flyer. Agents discovered a flyer posted on Instagram. Racial Justice Minnesota. Racial Justice Minnesota and Nick Kimmel advertising Operation Pull Up on Sunday. Foos parking lot pre-meeting. Prior to the assault, the group met together at a parking lot at a nearby shopping center and made plans for their actions inside the church. Leadership. Armstrong and Allen appear to be leaders of the Operation Pull Up and the meeting agitators, much worse than initially reported. The affidavit reveals shocking details. Protesters attempted to retrieve children from child care plea area located downstairs, but agitators were blocking the stairs and the parents were unable to get to their children. Agitators were telling children their parents were Nazis who were going to burn in hell. One female victim fell and broke her arm while fleeing. 3 unknown parachuters were observed falling to the ground while exiting through the north side door. Why this matters legally. This is clear conspiracy evidence. Named operation, public advertising on Instagram, pre-planning meeting at parking lot, stated goal to disrupt business as usual, coordinated entry tactics, leadership structure. For Don Lemon specifically, Lemon interviewed Livy Armstrong ahead of Operation Pull-Up and followed agitators to City's church. This raises serious questions. Did he just happen to be covering it, or was he part of the coordination? Bottom line, the name Operation Pull-Up is, and the evidence of pre-planning advertising coordination makes this a much stronger conspiracy case than a spontaneous protest. This is exactly the kind of evidence that proves conspiracy beyond reasonable doubt. I guess Pam Bondi's right then. I guess Pam Bondi's right. That's prosecutor's win. So knowing all this, Pam Bondi is likely, or the DOJ. All this DOJ's case is much stronger than initially appeared, but whether they'll win depends on factors: pre-planning and conspiracy, serious disruption, parents couldn't reach their children, people were injured, children told their parents Nazis going to burn in hell, service completely disrupted, use of force, pattern in leadership, challenges the DOJ still faces, individual culpability. What did each defendant specifically do? Dilemma's response: I was just reporting, not participating. Others may claim they didn't block or anyone harass children. First Amendment issues. Courts take free speech press very seriously. Is this law being applied correctly? Proving FACE Act violations will prove they intended to interfere with religious rights, or was it protesting ICE and the church was incidental? For Don Lemon specifically, or it's not incidental. They said that the pastor was part of ICE, right? He interviewed Livy Armstrong ahead of Operation Pull-Up and followed agitators to City's church. But interviewing someone about their plan is journalism. Following them there is journalism. Did he participate in blocking or chanting disruption? That's the question. No, he did not. So Don Lemon is innocent. His strong defense, well-known journalist, was filming, credible journalism claim, excellent lawyer. My assessment for the core organizers, Armstrong and Allen and Cruz, DOJ likely to win the plea, 70-80% chance. Evidence is strong for conspiracy and leadership. For Don Lemon, much harder case, 40 to 60% chance DOJ wins. So it's a coin flip. Depending entirely on evidence of his specific actions, journalism defense is credible. Government must prove he participated, not just observed. Overall case, DOJ will likely get some convictions, but maybe not all defendants. Some may plead guilty or to lesser charges. Constitutional appeals could complicate things. Wildcard factors. What does the signature actually say? Video evidence of who did what specifically? Whether any defendant flips to and corroborate? Which judge hears the case? So yes, DOJ cases look much stronger with this Operation Pull-Up evidence, but it's not a slam dunk. Especially for defendants who can prove they were journalists or didn't personally use force. Okay, that's what I thought. Like, Don Lemon was a stretch, but the protest was wrong. Yeah, that seems fair.